Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Nick Costos was talking about it today on his show, You Better You Bet, no free ads. He was discussing the etymology of the term, Super Mario Brothers, and he was like, it was like him and Will Brinson, who does a great job covering on like CBS, and he's like, how do you say it? And Will Brinson, who's from like North Carolina, goes, well, I call him Mario. And Nick Costos goes, well, I say Mario. And
he would be the type to say Mario
in his super ridiculous like Italian accent. And he's like, the only reason why is because I'm from New York, and the way we say things is the way that we New Yorkers believe everything should be said. So I'm gonna go with Mario. And I'm like, you know what? It's kind of true. But like, I hate the people. Like, I understand like dialects and things are like a thing. Like I went to college with this kid. Now, like, this isn't really like the same, I guess you could say, but like he used to call the water fountain the bubbler because he was from Boston. And my friend Zach dated this girl. She was from Pennsylvania. She called water wooder, and I used to make fun of her incessantly. Or how me and my girlfriend's friend moved to Boston from New York. She always says rum instead of room.
I hate that one too. Boston accents are the worst.
So like those things are like I kind of understand, but like the Mario debate and then Reese's and Reese's is the one thing that pisses me off to no end. It is Reese's peanut butter cups. Grammatically speaking, it is absolutely correct.
Just because say it in the Reese's Puffs commercial.
Reese's Puffs. Get them out.
Peanut butter chocolate flavor.
Those things were lit as fuck back in the day, I gotta say. Like really bad cereal, really great marketing and advertising. You know what? Here, all right, I have a question for you because I feel like if anybody
agree
knows
with you though, it is Mario, and
it's
New
Mario.
Yorkers say Mario. You're one of the few that is intellectually correct.
It's the Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Galaxy, Paper Mario,
Mario Kart,
exactly. There was an advertisement because I feel like you would know this. That had the song by Casey and the Sunshine Band, Shake, 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 Shake Your Booty.
Okay.
Do you remember what the advertisement was for? It had, the ad was like, shake, 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 shake your something. It wasn't necessarily your booty.
Right.
I don't know what it is. And my girlfriend and I have been digging so deep into finding out what it is, but I cannot find it on anything. I sat through a 20-minute video of like, all like ads that 2000s kids would remember. I just could not figure it out. And it's going to haunt me for days.
Toll House cookies.
No, that wasn't it.
That was one of them.
No. This was like an early 2000s ad. That one's from like the 90s.
Yeah, it was 1999.
I'm talking like, I was like 9 years old. Like 2007, 2008, maybe even the early 2010s. I have a feeling it was like a bank, but I could be wrong.
There was one for Sensa. From 2013. That could be just when this video was uploaded, but
could you play it?
Yeah, I'll remove it. And
would we happen to get copyrighted if we play these tunes?
I'll remove it in post.
All right, deal. For those of you listening, there will be some audio. But for now.
There we go. Let me do one of these
what?
Things.
You said it was Sensa? My girlfriend's ratifying that it was apparently Sensa.
I saw it on the internet.
Did you? Yeah, but
yeah, it's a
shake your Sensa.
Hard.
That's it.
That's how you know the ad is old, because the Twitter logo is just the T.
So shake your Sensa. What was it like salt or like some sort
it was
of
like a weight loss
powder
thing.
That stuff had to have caused cancer. You can't tell me it couldn't.
Yeah, it looked like it was like a weight loss thing to like help you like replace salt or something.
Well, the one guy was fucking dabbing it on his donut. I don't know, but
it's a product that you sprinkle on your food that promises to help you feel full and lose weight.
That thing totally caused cancer. We're gonna see an ad in like 20 years of like if you were a loved one suffered like mesothelioma or like it's gonna be
according to the FTC, which took action against Sensa's marketers in January 2014. Sensa agreed to pay $26.5 million to settle the FTC's charges because their marketing was misleading.
Told you exactly.
Sensa is still selling its products. Quote, Sensa's safety is not an issue, the company website states. Sensa notes that it has agreed to make changes to its advertising claims and hasn't admitted any wrongful conduct.
Yeah, that stuff caused cancer. There's no way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was like probably an
you know it's bad when you have an article about your product on WebMD. That's where I just read all that from.
WebMD is like the epitome of like oh, I have a sore throat. Do I have throat cancer? Like
WebMD personified would be the scene from The Incredibles where they're in the water and Dash is like, we're dead, we're alive, but we're still dead.
Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. I have to give you immense props for that Incredibles reference because my girlfriend is sitting on the couch by me and she goes, wait, that was an Incredibles reference. And obviously she absolutely loves Disney. Welcome into the Getting the Whole podcast. Stephen McAvoy, Kyle Bennett here joining you on another terrific week on the PGA Tour. The Masters gave us everything we wanted and more. LIVGolf did not get their 18th hole celebration with the Chainsmokers, and Jon Rahm becomes a two-time major winner. Will he be on pace to be one of the greatest of all time? We're going to debate it right here on Getting the Hole, brought to you today and every day by our friends at PHI Apparel Co. With the Philadelphia Phillies going on a torrid run so far, despite the record not being the greatest in the world. Their offense is clicking. Bryson Stott's going off. Brandon Marsh added them both in fantasy this past week, and Alec Boehm has been probably the best free agent to pick up that I've had. Go and get some apparel for them. Of course, the Sixers and the Flyers still in play. All the Flyers season kind of coming to a close, but the Sixers will at least there will at least be some playoff basketball or some sort of playoff sport happening at the Wells Fargo Center. Get some apparel for them. PHIapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your next order.
Plus, you can get official Getting the Whole podcast merch.
Damn right.
Get your merch, and when you get it, tag us at Getting the Whole Pod, Twitter and Instagram, so we can see where you're rocking your merch. We want to see you rocking it from the clubhouse, the course, wherever. Getting the Whole Pod merch, and we're working on some stuff for the spring and summer. So stay tuned for that. But like Steve said, use code Underground so they know you're coming from us. And of course, new presenting sponsor, Wasted Wedge. Love them. They were part of our live tailgate podcast this past weekend. Big shouts to them. But Steve, a new age of golf has arrived. And if you're looking to be the talk and envy of your group and create memories with your friends and family, look no further than the lineup of Wasted Wedge products and merchandise. These Wasted Wedges are a blast. We had one at the tailgate. So many people asking about it. You know, where'd you get that golf club with the shot glasses on it, this, that, and the third? And it's like, oh, it's Wasted Wedge. Check them out. Literally like epitome of like bachelor party on the golf course, all that good stuff. It's going to be, you will be the talking point if you have a Wasted Wedge in hand. Comes in a perfect, sleek carrying bag that you can slide right into the side pocket of your golf bag. It has extenders, so you can make it as long as you want. It's all made right here in the US of A. And, Wasted Wedges, they're a blast to drink shots out of on and off the course. You guys can check them out at wastedwedge.com or find them at Wasted Wedge on Instagram and Facebook. That's wastedwedge.com, at Wasted Wedge, Instagram and Facebook. Remember the name, wastedwedge.com. More shots, more fun.
The day Wasted Wedge creates like a beer bong where you can literally just slide the beer down the golf club and it'll go all the way through. Like if I can literally get a beer bong, I'm like holding it through like that. Oh my God.
I gotta say, man, getting my hands on it too. Shout out to Jeff Podosic, the creator, and his daughter Molly, who I've been friends with for years now. It's super light, like it's not gonna weigh your bag down or anything. Like the materials are light. It's all handcrafted here, like in South Jersey and a couple neighboring towns in South Jersey and Pennsylvania. So like it is an awesome product. And the best part is you see the shot glasses on the club. You put your penny shot glasses, the plastic ones in there, keeps it cleaner, way easier to maintain it. So you're not, using a bunch of super glue like you would with your old school traditional shot skis and everything. And you keep it, smooth, and you put whatever alcohol you want in your plastic shot glass. That way everybody can use it.
You know what? And you know what? Just for continuity's sake, as we welcomed them last week, but we're going to welcome in again, just give a little golf clap to the friends over at Wasted Wedge.
Hello, friends.
One person who unfortunately did not have his Wasted Wedge on him, however, did he really even need it? Jon Rahm wins the Masters this week, two-time major champion. At this point, I think he very well could get up towards that like Rory 4 number, maybe even break 5. Kyle Porter had a little debate out. Rory's got 4, Brooks has 4, JT has 2, Colin has 2. Like, where will Jon Rahm be in 10 years? Look, the guy had his first son last year, won the U.S. Open on Father's Day, now wins the Masters on Easter. I feel like the holiday kind of motif is going to kind of run along now. I don't know if the PGA falls on Mother's Day. If it does, we have a problem for all the PGA, but we'll very well see what happened. How did Jon Rahm do it? The story was incredible on multiple fronts. This is probably, in my opinion, the best Masters I've ever watched. Now, granted, I've only been watching it for about 10 years or so.
I have clarification.
Please.
Sunday of the Wells Fargo Championship is on Mother's Day.
Futures bet right now, Jon Rahm. The odds probably are not out yet, but I will probably take that. So I think the question here, how did Jon Rahm win it? There's a lot of different things that kind of went into this. Now, first of all, first player to ever 4-putt or make double bogey on the first hole of a major and then win the goddamn tournament. I'm watching the opening round of the event. I'm waiting for my guys to get going. He 4-putts. I'm like, oh no, is this going to be the week that Jon Rahm goes like 8 over in the first round and just kind of wipes away any glimmer of hope? He goes double, birdie, eagle. And all of a sudden, he's 1 under par, and I'm like, what just happened? And it's all in a matter of 3 holes. Even Jim Nantz and Shane Bacon were shocked at what they were watching. Goes out, continues to shoot. That first round, if you discount that first hole, he shot a 59. That's how good Jon Rahm played on day one. And really, that was kind of the story. That's what really propelled him all the way to the front. He only shot, on average, 2 under par for the remaining 3 days. So it wasn't like he was hitting the ball out of the park. The man shot 7 under in the first round and was tied with Victor Hovland for the lead of Brooks Koepka. So the whole entire week, it was really the Koepka versus Rahm kind of train. And, of course, in typical Brooks Koepka post-2019 fashion, just choked the whole thing away. And my future bet that I had for like 4 weeks just totally died and sunk. I should have cashed out when I had the chance. But really what it comes down to was that first day. And that immediate turnaround from the first hole to the fourth hole, it was like it had never even happened. And he didn't look back from there. He had 2 full rounds of bogeyless golf. Played tremendously well. It also helps the rest of the field didn't really get their bearings. Victor Hovland struggled on day 2. Koepka and then really the amateur Sam Bennett were the only guys who really kept pace for about 3 days. The weather got into play. Saturday was a total miss after that tree fell. Canceled play for the rest of the day. They had to play 9 full holes Sunday morning, then play the final round on Sunday. Everyone was gassed at that point. So I think that's really kind of the separator here. But also Jon Rahm's play from 10 through 18 shot that in 7 under par, which is something that nobody has done in the last 3 years of this tournament. Even like Scotty Scheffler, no one has played that back 9 so well. And you always hear Jed Nicholas says the front 9 is a challenge. The back 9 makes the man. And Jon Rahm proved that he really is a dominant force, especially after last year. He had just had his son last year, came to the golf course on a Wednesday, didn't even get a chance to really warm up, played 1 round, missed the cut, didn't really have everything going. Everyone was like, oh, is this a course for Jon Rahm? And of course, he proved the haters wrong once again. And I want to give a shout out to Ben Piro. He consistently talks shit to me about it. I said he didn't have the clutch gene. This happened, like, a year and a half ago. To that point, he had only won one event. Granted, this is now his fifth win in the last 5 months, whether it be Euro Tour or PGA. I rescinded my comment. He doubled down on it this past week. Jon Rahm does, in fact, have the clutch gene. And while the internet is forever, I did, in fact, rescind my point after he had gone on a tear in Europe. I want to just put that out there for the folks at home.
My big takeaway from Jon Rahm's performance this weekend was that, one, the 4-putt on the opening hole was initiated by Philadelphia Eagles legend Zach Ertz. Jon Rahm mentioned him in his acceptance speech after on Sunday, and then we also got double down confirmation. I don't know if you saw this part, Steve, from the other member of the group chat, the now retired NFL legend J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, Jon Rahm, and Zach Ertz are all in a group chat called Birdies and Babies. So, the text message screenshots from J.J. Watt, he says, "Can confirm, I think this means you deserve a green jacket at Zach Ertz 86. Zach Ertz texted, "Let's have a day, John. Start fast." And then J.J. Watt responds and says, "Let's go, John. Pretend you're playing with Zach and I. You'll set the course record." Zach Ertz then responds, "First hole green looks like a walk in the park." Then there's a response that says, I think this is from Jon Rahm, 4-putt to start the round. Not ideal. And J.J. Watt says, "Horrendous. I said pretend you're playing with us, not like you're playing like us."
Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious. And then in the follow-up conversation, I believe it was Ertz, quote tweeted the story from Rahm on Twitter and said, I apologize for absolutely nothing.
And then I think we got confirmation that Jon Rahm is an Eagles fan because there was a video that the Eagles official account tweeted. Somebody, when Rahm was teeing off, just launched out at "Go Birds!"
I mean,
so Jon Rahm, big fan, come on the podcast. We'd love to have you. But I found that was absolutely fascinating that those three humans are in a group chat together, and a phenomenal group chat named Birdies and Babies.
I'm really upset though with the media following in his presser that he finally did with the media afterwards. No one asked him early plans for the Masters dinner, because I said this last week. Whenever someone from Texas wins the Masters, like, they all win. Think about it. There's only been three or four Spaniard champions of the Masters: Seve, Sergio, and now Jon Rahm. No one's made paella yet, and paella is like the godsend food of the Spanish. I fucking love that stuff. I want to know if he's going to bring out the empanadas, if we're going to have like really true classic Spanish, like lobster and like true paella. I would die to get to sit in on that Masters dinner and just have a little bit of that food. Just, Augusta, if you're watching this, please send me an invite. I'm interested. There's no one on the tour named Stephen McAvoy. This isn't going to be a Scott Stalling situation, but please let me know.
So there's 4 Spaniards too that have won.
Who's the fourth
Masters?
that I'm missing?
1999 and 1994. Jose Maria Olazabal.
Olazabal, yeah. I knew I missed one. The other Spaniard I was thinking of was Angel Cabrera, who he was Argentinian, but now he's in jail for like drug dealing. Something crazy, like a wild story.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah, right. If you don't stop to look around a little bit, you might miss it. One of my favorite movies. If you don't know it, go look it up. Sam Bennett this week, though, I wrote a story for my writing job for the NIL deal. Shout out to those guys. And I wrote about how Sam Bennett had a performance literally unlike any other. And this is no pun intended for the idea that the Masters is a tradition unlike any other. Sam Bennett, 50-year student, Texas A&M, signed with Ping, signed with Johnny O, has a banking company, a CPM company, like has this myriad of NIL deals, comes out and is literally T3 after 36 holes, makes the weekend, played better than 49 of the top 75 golfers in the world, which is like kind of crazy for a 23-year-old. And yet, at the end of all this, he couldn't make a cent because he was an amateur. Yet Tom Kim, who also finished T19 or T16, is 3 years younger and made $261,000. Needless to say, Sam Bennett had a performance that I can jot down as probably one of the greatest by an amateur in the history of Augusta National. Is it the greatest ever? No, because that goes to obviously Francis Ouimet, who won the U.S. Open at the Country Club way back in the day as the only amateur to ever win. That's something for a whole different breed of human. But Sam Bennett came out and just shocked the world, essentially. I picked him in a Masters pool as my amateur to beat. It was him and Gordon Sargent, who, by the way, a great name, Gordon Sargent. Oh, yeah. But Sam Bennett, just an absolute masterful performance.
Another great name, Sam Bennett. Shout out to the kid.
All right, just because your last name Bennett.
No relation as far as I know, but we might have to do some digging.
I mean, he most certainly isn't as handsome as you, and the facial hair game is not nearly as good as yours.
He's 23. He's got time.
Yeah, but
I didn't discover the dog in me until I was about 27.
Yeah, but like
he's still learning.
It's kind of a weak like chin tickler almost.
Mine was weak too for a while. There's photo evidence out there from back in the day, but
all right,
I mean, for an amateur to go out there and perform the way he did and like have just like the world talking about him, like as I was scrolling my personal timeline, like it was obviously Jon Rahm was popping up because he was balling out, but then it was the mixture of Brooks for the first 3 days, and then it was Sam Bennett. Those were the three guys the entire weekend. You saw their names on your timelines, and for him to go out there and perform the way he did, I think this is like just the beginning for him, hopefully. Mm-hmm. As we just, continue to add these young up-and-coming golfers to the PGA Tour. And, we've talked about this a number of times with, the youth movement of golf fans and people wanting to follow, players and everything. I guarantee there's people out there who are like, I'm going to follow this kid's career now because he balled out on one of the biggest stages of the entire tour, and I want to see what he does from here on out. Yeah, I'm personally, we have a fun little bit. It's hashtag KB's My Guys. Sam's making his way. He's making his way into the My Guys territory.
And I wrote about this for the NIL deal stories. Stories are going to come out tomorrow. Be sure to check it out. I'm going to post it on my personal timeline. I spoke to Bill Carter, who works for the Sports Business Journal. He also has his own insight and analysis company called Student Athlete Insights. And one of the things that he was telling me about was that when you look at like NIL, right, viewership doesn't necessarily equal money. I mean, like Sam Bennett's making close to $1 million in NIL deals alone because you're sponsored fully by Ping. You get to wear Johnny O, who's one of the up and coming like golf brands. You don't really see a lot of players wearing it, but it's just like Vineyard Vines. It's like kind of like there in the secondary area where the FootJoys and the Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, all those companies are way up there. Exactly. But then there's like Vineyard Vines. There's like now a more recent up and comer. They aren't necessarily a giant in the golf industry, but Johnny O is the same way. Established in the mid 2000s, kind of same sort of Nantucket, California sort of vibe. It was more for the surfer dude. Sam Bennett fits the persona. He's young. He's likable. And I do think, though, that with Sam Bennett's performance, we're going to see people more interested in college golf. I know that when I was reporting about this, NIL is still a big thing in college golf, despite it not being talked about in the media. But as you're going to see, these guys do have big-time sponsors. Akshay Bhatia was signed to Callaway when he was 17 years old. He never went to college, so he never had to worry about that. But the guy was already signed. These companies want to get in on these guys as young as they can and capitalize on their ability. Gordon Sargent and Ben Carr, two other guys that were amateurs in the event, both sponsored by Titleist, the biggest golf club company in the world. And you saw them on the course wearing Titleist all over their head and FootJoy on their chest. These guys are now with NIL, they're going to get a bigger stage. And while tournaments might not be the greatest, you're going to see just like how college lacrosse gets in thousands of viewers with their national championship, the college golf final is now probably going to become something that you're going to want to watch. And it's going to be on Golf Channel. It's going to be on all these networks. And you're going to watch the top 10, 15 programs in the country go at it. And really, the contingency here, take Ben, for example, played at Xavier. There's Xavier Golf, and then there's the rest of the conference that he's a part of, which I cannot tell you
Big
off the top of my
East.
head. The Big East, yeah. So the Big East Golf Conference, quote unquote, doesn't really have a vast talent pool. But if you look at like the SEC or the Big Ten or even the ACC, you have 15 of the top 30 golfers in the world all looped into this one group. They're all going to make the NCAA tournament final. So I think that's going to be the starting point. You're going to want to watch the elite of the elite, and these guys are going to go at it, and they're going to really show out. And a lot of these guys are going to turn pro. If you look at the rankings, they all fit the persona of a pro athlete in the making. And like at that point, it isn't like the NFL to the NCAA game where you can kind of see guys translate over well. It's obviously there's a big discrepancy between the top college golfer in the world to the top player on the Korn Ferry Tour to Jon Rahm. There's obviously a disparity. You look at, for example, last year.
It's more similar to baseball.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like the gap is still smaller than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So Justice was the number one player on the Korn Ferry Tour last year. 2 years ago, it was Taylor Pendrith. Both guys have been consistent top 20 players so far on the PGA Tour in the events they do play. They're not Jon Rahm, neither one of a win, but they're getting there. I think Sam Bennett proved to everybody that kind of like a Will Zalatoris situation can come in year one when they do become a pro and compete with the best players in the world. And he did it before he even started. Will Zalatoris in his first year at Wake Forest came in, finished top 3 at the Masters, finished runner-up. I think we're going to see Sam Bennett and Ben Carr and Gordon Sargent and other big-time names. Michael Torbjornsson played really well at the Travelers last year, wasn't in the Masters. But you're going to see these guys come up. And I think Sam Bennett really put the college golf game on display with people watching him this week. Transitioning and shifting gears a little bit, the biggest controversy coming into the event was, of course, LIV versus the PGA. LIV golfers were allowed to play had they pre-qualified for the tournament. Therefore, you saw 18, basically the top 18 golfers from LIV participating this week at the Masters. I was surprised to see that they showed out and they really kind of gave the PGA Tour a run for their money. Phil Mickelson finishing top 5, one of those. The classic Rory McIlroy backdoor top 5 goes to Phil Mickelson, of all people, who, by the way, has done absolutely nothing on the LIV Tour to date. So incredibly impressive on his end. Patrick Reed finished tied for 4th. I'm running down the list as we go. Joaquin Niemann, T16. Brooks Koepka was obviously in the hunt the entire week. Taylor Gooch, top 34. Abraham Ancer, top 40 finish for him. Mito, top 50 performance. So a lot of solid play. Dustin Johnson finished T48. Charles Schwartzel as well, former Masters champion in his own right. Played actually really good. I mean, if you can make the cut as a LIV player in this sort of a field where to date you haven't really played anybody tremendously incredible outside of, 3 or 4 guys on LIV, pretty impressive in my opinion. But to finish towards the top of the leaderboard like Reed, Koepka, Mickelson, that's really impressive. And I must say, LIV really did show out, and I give them a lot of credit. But there is one thing that I learned this week that was kind of paramount to everything else. We have learned that there is kind of a disparity and a disparaging hatred, I guess you could say, towards LIV itself, but not to the players. Like Rory once said, "Oh, LIV shouldn't be here because they don't deserve to be here," when referring to at that point the U.S. Open. But at the same time, like he was like, "I have no animosity towards Dustin Johnson. I have no animosity towards Brooks Koepka." You saw on Saturday and Sunday, Brooks and Jon Rahm were laughing. They were talking. They're being friendly. I think I've realized that, and Rory alluded to it, I believe, in his presser on Tuesday, that the event and the major was more than just LIV in the PGA. It was the top golfers in the world coming together. And I think for the first time ever, and I think the Masters kind of pushed this on a little further, was the fact that it's about the people and not about the league. And for a week, you can take the league away and focus in on the people. And Jack Nicklaus said it apparently at the Masters dinner. And in years past, at the end of the day, Jack Nicklaus, the elder statesman in the room next to Tiger Woods, but obviously Jack's much older, has respect for Patrick Reed, has respect for Sergio Garcia. Maybe they're a-holes outside of that room. At the same time, though, he has a mutual respect for them despite their affiliation to a rival tour that is in no regards trying to coexist with the PGA Tour. I found it fascinating. I thought it was interesting. I think it's now kind of easing the tensions between both tours to see the players and the way they interacted. Phil Mickelson was the happiest he's ever been. Meanwhile, he looked like a ghost on Wednesday. Apparently didn't say a word to anybody, and yet was talkative with the fans. People were praising him. This is the first time I've seen the LIV versus PGA kind of like coexist. And the only person who's the odd man out really is Greg Norman, who's essentially the ultimate asshole, who's trying his hardest to bring down the tour, but the players don't seem to give a shit about it.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is more news about like the LIV contracts comes out, and I sent this in our group chat too, which apparently it's been like disputed, but nobody really knows what to truly believe with it. This is all alleged. I'm just reading this off from a homie at Terry Franconia on Twitter. Said, not sure if the homie is right, but he's telling me LIV golfers basically signed a record label deal.
Yeah.
Which he's saying Phil Mickelson wins a LIV event, they get back their $5 million in winnings for advancing him that huge $200 million lump sum, and he gets $0, so he doesn't even try at LIV events because of this. So you see him go out at the Masters and perform the way he does. That portion starts to make a little more sense because it's not a LIV event. Goes on to say, I then asked him what happens when LIV fails. They're obviously going to hunt down Phil, Brooks, Dustin Johnson, Arlo White, etc. for their money, right? I feel like LIV is going to go dry, and every golfer that took LIV money is just going to get $0 from it besides that big sum they got up front, and we're just going to slowly witness the oil barons of the Middle East blow their money like trust fund kids.
I mean, you're kind of right, but also the counter to that is, I mean, Brooks has won twice, DJ's won, Patrick Reed's won. Like, why would these guys like win if it essentially meant nothing to them? So
I also think like those three guys that you mentioned, they're still kind of like they're all still in their peak.
I mean, yeah, but like
for the most part.
But LIV Golf isn't a retirement league.
Sure.
At that point, go play the Champions Tour. If you actually really wanted to just kind of sit back and do your thing, you could ride a golf cart.
Sure, I'm saying those three got their money, but they still want to compete and everything. Phil's just like, I'm just here for the money.
Yeah, I mean, again, those guys make sense, like the Lee Westwoods and the Ian Poulters and the older grouping, but the young guys, like maybe they go out and compete, but if LIV isn't going to give them anything except for their upfront fee, then what was the point of joining anyways? And obviously, there's been issues with LIV and their contracts. People thought that they were signing up for less events than they actually were. There was a whole controversy about that weeks ago. So LIV is kind of showing its stripes. However, I don't think they're going to ever truly run out of money. Just considering they're backed by the largest fund essentially in the world. So don't think that's going to happen. I actually want to bring up something that I found really interesting, and it was with Harold Varner. Said something that I was actually surprised that he had brought it up. When asked about LIV Golf and the idea that they're growing the game, his reply was, and I quote, "They're full of shit. They're growing their pockets. I tell them all the time, all of them, you didn't come here to effing grow the effing game." I think it's fascinating that somebody like Harold Varner, who openly criticized LIV Golf but said, I'm joining because I want my grandkids and my grandkids to have to inherit a generational wealth. I find it fascinating that somebody who is of the LIV proponent is bashing it the way he did.
I wasn't surprised simply because we knew why he joined LIV and the reasoning why he joined. And I think he said that at the get-go when he joined. Yeah. He was like, most of these guys that are coming here are coming because the money is there. And if you don't believe that, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me. What did surprise me is that he just like basically told it on Maine and was like, hey, you're an absolute joke if you think, you're growing the game by doing this. And I think obviously a bit of a different circumstance because it's not backed by the same people, but a lot of people feel the same way with pro lacrosse and the way that they're introducing like the sixes format to try to get lacrosse into the Olympics. They feel like it's the easiest way to get the sport in and get more eyeballs on the sport because it's fast paced. It's, there's a lot of scoring and everything. It takes a lot of the nuance out of it and just, puts what people want to see in front of their faces. And people are like, oh, sixes is the dumbest thing. It's not actually lacrosse. Blah. In that sense, it's growing the game because you're getting more people's eyeballs on it. Live, from the sense of growing the game, is not doing that because, one, you don't have a direct access point to watch it, as we detailed, when they signed their CW deal. Like, it got blacked out in almost every major, city in America that broadcasts the CW. And everybody went there for the money.
But also, I think they are kind of growing the game to a degree because they're creating controversy. And we said this, over a year ago. Thanks to Live, the PGA finally has a headline every single week on SportsCenter that isn't, oh, the Masters this week. Oh, the Opens this week. Like, it's been in the news. There's a reason why this golf podcast has, and every other one has taken off. It's because now people are finally like, oh, like we have something more to talk about than just here's the next major. Like let's watch this. People are finally like taking a side to it, and it's kind of like trying to think of like a comparative to compare it to, but like basically taking one side over the other and creating a media controversy because of it.
Which, playing devil's advocate, I don't know necessarily if it's like to play the term literally growing the game. I think it's growing the discussion around the game. Where like people are talking about it and people are, like you said, taking a side, are you with the Live guys, this, that, and the third. I don't know necessarily, because we don't have the metrics in front of us either, obviously, but, how much of that discussion on the sports centers, on all these big networks and everything, and then trickling down to the podcast world and everything, how much of that is people are tuning in and watching the game and,
That's
kind
true.
of, hitching a horse to the wagon in a sense. And being
But
like,
also,
oh yeah, I'm watching golf because I'm a fan. I like the controversy. Like I'm doing that as a casual golf fan, but is everyone doing that, or are they just tuning into the social media controversy because it's fun banter and it's it's that debate, embrace debate nonsense.
But also, isn't that though the whole point is starting the conversation and people getting interested and generating debate? Viewership again doesn't always equate to fame, right? You can be like, for example, and I go back to this NIL thing. Take Olivia Dunn, right? No one's watching a college gymnastics event, but she has 4 billion followers on TikTok and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
People are noticing things in different ways, and it doesn't necessarily mean that viewership has to be high on the PGA Tour or the Euro Tour. Participation doesn't also have to be at an all-time high, even though golf's become the eccentric college and post-grad, like, I'm going to go hang out with clients job, or you go and get drunk and you roll one up and you enjoy it. That's kind of what golf's become in terms of the casual person watching it and performing in it. I do think, though, that it matters that people are actually taking notice to it, which I think is the most important thing. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, the RBC Heritage this week. Did the PGA Tour get it wrong with an elevated event following the Masters? We'll talk about it right here with some prop bets and beer money right here on the Get the Whole podcast.
Welcome back to the Get the Whole podcast. This portion of today's episode is brought to you by our awesome partners over at Tomahawk Shades. It's been a while since you guys at the Get the Whole podcast have heard about them, but they haven't gone anywhere. They're still proud partners of our network and of this show. Tomahawk Shades, they're the best small batch eyewear in the game, from sunglasses to blue light glasses. They now have prescription lenses. They're the best in the game, and weather's getting nice. It's about to be real nice heading into this weekend.
Eight
You want to
tomorrow,
protect
bro.
your eyeballs when you're outside, when you're inside watching the tour. You want to wear those blue light glasses, and Tomahawk Shades is doing it for a fraction of the price of those big eyewear brands that are just they're stealing money from you effectively. You know, essentially taking your money for something that is of the same quality, if not better than what Tomahawk Shades is. Tomahawk Shades, the best in the game, owned by former athletes as well. Chris Hogan, Super Bowl champion, Kyle Harrison, pro lacrosse champion, Daniel Descalzo, and John Jay, former MLB stars. You guys can go to tomahawkshades.com, use our promo code USP for 25% off. That is a deal unheard of in the podcast space. Getting 25% off a product that's already at an affordable price and better than the big name brands. Tomahawk Shades is doing it the right way. So go to tomahawkshades.com, stay styling and profiling on the course all season long, and use code USP to get 25% off your order today.
I high key got to get in on these. Like they have like the Pit Viper like alternates.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like used to think they were like very like janky and like very like riffraff, but they're kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Those were the type of sunglasses that Riff Raff would wear.
True. I'm on their website. 50% cash back by just entering in your phone number. So like,
It's the best. They have a great
actually pretty
rewards
sick.
program too. Like, best in the game. Shout out to Tom. And they're right on the island, Steve. They're right in your backyard.
Oh, I know. They're located in like Malvern, which is like, I don't know, 5 minutes from my house. So, you know what? I may have to pay the guys a visit and be like, yo, hey, can I pick up from you guys? I'll do a pickup from the store kind of situation.
We should do episodes of this show, the main show, right at their headquarters.
Honestly, bro, let's do it in the factory as they make it on the assembly line. We lead here at part two. An unfortunate mishap in the world of golf. Will Zalatoris, the alleged top 10 player in the world, who I don't think he should be top 10, but that's a story for a different day. Calls it quits. Got surgery over the weekend. WD'd from the Masters due to injury on day one. He will be calling it quits for all of 2023. He'll be back in 2024. Big loss for the world of golf. Obviously, Zalatoris is a household favorite, young guy. Ball strikes his way all the way through tournaments. Has one career win. We'll look forward to seeing him in 2024. But a big loss for somebody who, from the jump, has made the FedEx Cup playoffs. Each of the first 3 years has been on tour and has really showed out despite only one win as a pro. So.
And I think Will Zalatoris is one of those guys that, you brought up Kyle Porter's tweet about all the guys who have won majors and everything. Like, Willy Z's like in that new era of golfer where he's been around for a significant amount of time now that people have kind of, gravitated towards him. They like him as a person. They like him as a player. And sure, does he fail to come up clutch and win events? Sure. But he's still one of those guys that's always in the mix. He's always going to be around, and golf is not the same without Will Zalatoris in the field. So it's very unfortunate that, he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. Wishing him well. Hopefully, surgery went seamlessly, and his recovery is speedy and, flawless so that he's back out on the course next season. Because, without Willy Z in the mix, he's a guy that gets talked about a ton. Whether you love him, hate him, or in between, he's somebody that makes the sport better.
One thing I will say, his injury and his surgery and his rehab, he'll be able to do a lot of putting. Hopefully he'll be able to figure out what the hell is going on with that backswing.
Who's to say that the back injury, I obviously don't know if there's any info out there of how extensive or how long he's been dealing with it, but who's to say that it hasn't been messing up his putting?
True. So we'll see. But until then, we wait and wish our friend Will Zalatoris a very speedy recovery. If you ever want to come on the pod, come on through. We're here. You
got time. He's got time.
Me, Jon Rahm, Will Zalatoris. We'll do like a big round table. This week, PGA Tour goes from the Masters to an elevated event. The RBC Heritage at Harbor Town. We're going all the way to the Carolinas. A short little drive up from Augusta, Georgia, right on the border of Georgia and Carolina. We go to Harbor Town this week, and the quest from the green jacket to the plaid jacket. I find this event interesting, and I find it fascinating for multiple reasons. But the number one thing is, did the PGA get it wrong going from the Masters to an elevated event where 48 of the top 50 players in the world are going to play. Of course, Rory McIlroy just a couple days ago announced he is withdrawing from the tournament, which also brings in some interesting factors to play. Obviously, players are only allowed one skip of elevated events. He did not play Kapalua first week of the season, so now he's withdrawing here. There's no reports of an injury. The assumption is the Masters hangover is just kind of getting to him, and he simply doesn't want to play this week. Might affect his PIP standing. We'll see how that goes. But did the PGA Tour get it wrong in scheduling an elevated event the week after a major tournament?
I think you can say yes and no. I'll start with my no. It keeps the momentum going. You know, you make it an elevated event after the pomp and circumstance that is the Masters, and people are talking about it this whole past week and everything. Lots of stuff went down, including a couple trees. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. And
it's a really bad joke to make.
Well, if somebody got hurt, I wouldn't have made it, but they were all safe. If a tree falls at Augusta, everybody's there to hear it. Did the tree actually fall?
There was one kid. Sorry to cut you off here. There was one kid who came like so close to getting hit, and I saw. I think it was foreplay. They were like, "That goddamn kid! Take one for the team. You get Masters tickets for life.
You get to play the Masters for life.
You can come once a year in the practice round and come play. Badges for life. thousands of dollars of credit to the gift shop. Like I would
get invited to the Masters dinner every year."
If it means a tree falls on me, now granted, I don't want the biggest part, but if you branches still land on me, I'll break a bone or two.
Yeah, I'll take a branch to the dome.
Or honestly, a giant settlement too would also fit. Like
100%.
Either one.
Luckily and thankfully, nobody did get injured there, but I think keeping the momentum going, keeping it as an elevated event where there is, actual stakes, there's stuff on the line. Plus, I think, the plaid jacket's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think keeping just the momentum and the energy from the Masters going into the next week is a pretty cool concept, and hopefully, we'll see how it all turns out. On the yes front of them screwing up, maybe they did, because like you said, the Masters hangover is there. People get juiced up for that event because of its importance and its history. And then, you're going to have an elevated event after that. How much energy and juice do you have, especially this year in particular, where they had to play 9 holes on Sunday, followed by a full 18, how much of that is going to wear on performance and everything like that. So I think there is a yes and a no factor to it. It's just how you want to kind of view it perspective-wise, but I think there is some positives and some negatives of it.
So I'm going to swing this as an outright no, that they really didn't screw up, which is totally different from what I had believed all of this week when I was like, you know what, they probably did mess this up. Despite the fact that the majority of the field did wind up making the cut at Augusta, and yes, they had to play through a lot of conditions on Sunday, the travel really isn't bad. You're only going about a half hour north. It's literally a drive over. It isn't anything too crazy. You're still in the area. So you know what? You might not get a practice round in on Tuesday. You might take it easy, practice a little bit on Monday, do some short game on Tuesday, play the course on Wednesday, and you go in. Are the players going to be sluggish? Absolutely they will, and I totally get that. But the more important part is that the travel wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward now to what's going to happen in the future. The U.S. Open is being played at LA Country Club. The next week is an elevated event, not on the West Coast, but in Cromwell, Connecticut. You're going to have guys fly out on Sunday night to go cross country in a 6-hour flight, get jet lagged, and go play in Connecticut on Thursday? Are you kidding me? If there was realistically, this is another instance where the PGA needs to reschedule events. If you're going to have an elevated event after a major when you know everyone's playing, put a buffer event in between. If you look at the schedule upcoming, it's the RBC Heritage, the Zurich Classic, which a lot of guys do play despite it not being an elevated event because it's a team style event. So guys are interested. Guys want to play. We already know that Max Homa and Colin Morikawa are going to team up. Jason Day is going to play. Shane Lowry is going to play. Billy Horschel, Sam Burns, they're all going to play. So naturally, like now you have guys playing 4 straight weeks. Scratch that, 5 straight weeks. Because guess what's following the Zurich? They're going to go play the Wells Fargo. And then after the Wells Fargo, you have one buffer event at the Byron Nelson, lower level event. No one's going to play that. But then it's the PGA. Then it's Colonial for the Charles Schwab. Players are going to want to play that. Then it's the
Memorial Day weekend that weekend too.
But guys play that event. It's a big event. Colonial.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a holiday event too, so people are going to want to go because it's in an area that is conducive to that kickoff, of summer and everything.
So people are going to play Colonial. Then it's the Memorial where you have to play. Then it's the RBC Canadian Open, which not everyone plays it, but like Rory did last year. Obviously, he won there. Then it's the U.S. Open. Then it's the Travelers again. So like the schedule isn't conducive of putting these back-to-back events when realistically what they should have done was the Masters, the Zurich, where not everyone will play. Honestly, no one would have played realistically. Then you have your main event. Then you have another week to skip. Then another week. Then a week to skip. Then the next major of the year. Like those things make sense. I think it's going to really be a problem in 2 months when we go from LA all the way to Cromwell, Connecticut for a tournament. That's going to be the biggest thing. And wait till next year when they announce the new wave of elevated events, if they have those. And if for some reason the 3M Open is going to be a elevated event, it's the week after the Open. You're going to have guys go from Scotland to Minnesota.
Minnesota!
They didn't win the national championship. Shout out to Quinnipiac. Like they need to figure out the scheduling a little bit better because I think it's really going to be a crux for them at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think if you're going to have those elevated events too, like schedule, like even if you're not going to put the buffer events, schedule the elevated events in places that make sense travel wise. Like worst case scenario wise, you know what I'm saying? Like say you don't want to put the buffer events, whatever, like at the bare minimum, make it so that the elevated events are in an area that is similar, travel proximity to where the major was or where the big event was.
But also just revamp the schedule a little bit. Turn some things around. You don't need the same event every single time of the year.
Yeah.
So at that, I get it. The Masters is always the first week of April. That's totally fine. It's a major. It should be there.
You build your schedule around those.
Exactly. You can move around the Wells Fargo by a week. You can move around the Zurich Classic by a week. If you want to move the 3M Open because you're in Minnesota up 2 weeks to be closer in the summer, then do it. Like you can afford these luxuries on the PGA Tour. You don't have to have it every single week. Because at the end of the day, dude, the golfers, if they're not playing, no one goes to these events. It sucks. The Honda Classic this year sucked. And it's traditionally one of the hardest events on tour. No one wanted to watch it for the exact reason that the elevated events just totally blew it away and no one was going to want to show up. Before we get into our picks here and discuss our event as a whole, let's give a little breakdown here of Harborhead. Something really important to point out. Sorry, not Harborhead, Harbor Town. I'm really dumb. This is a total miscue on my end. Harbor Town.
We are patented and trademarking Harborhead for future use. That is property of the Get in the Hole podcast.
Totally fine with me. We can file the trademark.
All rights reserved.
We can actually file the trademark. Technically, the LIVGolf trademark still hasn't been approved yet by the government. So we can take it and we can use it. This golf course, before we get into our picks, to kind of give you a little bit of an outline to who we're taking this week. Precision golf course. It's the complete opposite of Augusta National. It's a Pete Dye design. It's literally based on precision and ball striking and everything that has to do with pinpointing your shots. If you find a wayward shot, you're basically screwed each and every hole. There are certain places and certain landing areas to hit. So naturally, we're going to be gravitating towards guys that are older, have experience here, know the course quite well. Last year, Jordan Spieth won here in typical fashion of Jordan Spieth. Ball striking and putting was the name of the game for him. Also, something important to point out that I thought was really funny. This week, the plaid jacket earns you $3.6 million. The green jacket earned you $3.2 million. So if guys didn't try hard enough at the Masters, guess what? You could win $400,000 more at this event this year.
Is plaid greater than green? Comment in the YouTube comment sections.
it's so 90s plaid.
It's fun though.
Yeah, but like,
I like
I
the
don't
plaid
know.
jacket itself that they give out.
I mean,
think
look,
it's
no,
stylish.
like a plaid jacket's nice, but like, I don't know. So something a little tacky to it. I think it's the color scheme also to the plaid jackets they have for the RBC, and think that could be a situation here.
Comment which jacket you'd want in the YouTube comment section.
I mean, the green jacket would be freaking amazing.
Well, of course, but
I envy the dude who found the green jacket at a thrift store and sold it for like $80,000 like 10 years after. It's prop bet time, brought to you by our friends, of course, Wasted Wedge. Give them the shout out that you need. Give them the ad read, KB.
Wasted Wedge, we want to tell you guys about a brand new way to drink shots with your friends and family when you're playing golf from our new friends at Wasted Wedge. Wasted Wedge is going to change the way you enjoy celebrating drinking on and off the course. Think your traditional shot ski, turn it into a golf wedge, and it's much more clean, much more seamless than your traditional shot ski. There's no super glue involved. The shot glasses are already on there, and you use your plastic cups to keep it cleaner, and whatever alcohol you want to use, you can use it, and it's a much more enjoyable time. Check out their full lineup of Wasted Wedges and merchandise at wastedwedge.com, and you can find them on Instagram and Facebook at Wasted Wedge. Remember the name, wastedwedge.com.
Prop bets this week. Are there any that you're eyeing? Any matchups that you like? Tell me all about your props.
Man, prop bets for the week. I mean, I think the fun props in these type of scenarios for me is always just kind of paying attention to the top distinct international finishers, like your top Australian golfer, your top Asian golfer, your top European, all that kind of stuff. That's always fascinating to me, and it's something I always try to just see who performs the best, because it's obviously fun for gambling as well. But I always try to pay attention to the top finisher from each region when it comes to props. Those are always some fun things that I like to follow along with for each event.
Trying to think of where I'm going with mine. I have two that I think stand out initially. First of all, of course, Jordan Spieth won here last year. A few recent. It's a very like odd event because like Jordan Spieth won here, but in years past, it's usually someone that for the most part you've never heard of. Brandon Grace won here in 2016. Wesley Bryan, Satoshi Kadera, C.T. Pan, Webb Simpson, Stuart Sink, then Jordan Spieth. Like a very like oddball golf course. I'm going to take in a matchup here between Jordan Spieth and Cameron Young. They both sit at 22-1 this week. I'll take Cameron Young in this one. Jordan Spieth let me down a lot at the Masters. I thought he'd be a really a top performer, and the putter was good, but nothing else really was. So I will take Cameron Young in that regard. I'm also going to take, once again, for top Asian this week, I'm taking Tom Kim over Sungjae Im. Kim's all the way down on the board, 40-1. Sungjae is 25-1, of course. Typical fashion at the Masters. Sungjae Im, more bogeys than birdies, but he had a bunch of them, so it did kind of evened all out. Tom Kim, of course, finished top 20 this week. If you're looking at guys that are like super low on the board to like finishing position wise, which technically we do have these bets for top 20, top 10, so on, but to kind of dig a little bit deeper here, a top 30 play for me, I have two. I like Ricky Fowler and Corey Connors. They're both at 55-1 right now to win the event. Even Tommy Fleetwood, who's 66-1, which is crazy. A lot of these guys like played really well at the Masters. Ricky, of course, didn't, but had plenty of time to practice this past week. I like both. I like all three of them for a top 30. Oh, and I just found somebody for beer money that I am loving already. With that being said,
I have a good prop here too that I think you'll enjoy.
Please talk about it.
It's from USA Today. They have it written up, so it's not from me, but do want to give credit from where it's from. Prop bet for the winning margin being 2 shots at plus 350. Their reasoning: the first 3 designated events were all won by 2 shots, which is either a coincidence or a trend to follow. It hasn't happened since the Genesis Invitational, but with another loaded field, I think it'll remain relatively close on Sunday. Kind of like that.
I
kind of like that.
Can I actually bet on this, you think?
I'm going to take a Wasted Wedge shot on the winning margin being 2 shots.
Yeah, you're right. It's plus 350 for 2 strokes exactly. 1 stroke is 225. Playoffs 300. Actually, yeah, 4 strokes or more and 2 strokes are valued the same. I actually really do like that bet. I think I'll play that.
That's the pod prop of the week, brought to you by Wasted Wedge. Winning margin, 2 shots.
Also, and I think this one's great. Golfers to make an eagle in round 1. You can get Scotty Scheffler or Jon Rahm at plus 650. Wow. Scotty Scheffler hits the ball a country mile. I feel like you're going to have plenty of opportunities for an eagle there. I'm going to dig a little more into the golf course. I'm going to figure out guys who could do this. Another one who stands out is Matt Fitzpatrick plus 700. If you can get that when, like, instead of me betting a winner I give it Scotty Scheffler right now to win at plus 750, and I can get the same odds for Matt Fitzpatrick to make an eagle in the first round. That sounds like a home run to me. Although one thing to point out, there are only 3 par 5s on the golf course, so not as many chances as you would with your typical 4 on a given day. Do we jump in? You know what? I'll take a quick break. Keep the folks on their toes. When we come back, Beer Money Picks brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. Don't go anywhere. Your best top picks this week right here. Stay tuned. I just got a report, unfortunately, and I didn't even discuss this going into the show, but Mike Quinnipiac Bobcats won the NCAA tournament. This past weekend was a incredible moment in my school's history. Unfortunately, their goalie, Yaniv Peretz, who is literally, no lie here, one of the top 5 greatest college hockey goalies ever, stat-wise, and he's only a sophomore in college. He is, in fact, signing or in the process of signing a NHL contract. No details are out, but the 3 teams interested are the Panthers, Hurricanes, and the Flyers. Flyers might be in the market for a goalie. We'll find out if they wind up managing to strike a deal with the boy.
I do want to bring this up too. I meant to bring this up during our Masters breakdown. This comes from Kyle Coaster on Twitter from the Big Lead. CBS says Sunday's broadcast of the Masters was the most watched round on any network in 5 years, averaging 12.058 million viewers.
People totally wanted to see the live golfers popping champagne off.
Which we mentioned, 2 months ago, that this Masters would be the most viewed?
Yeah. Like, no doubt in my mind, obviously, with because I think every major has been incredibly high ratings because of this whole PGA versus live thing, and now the Masters kind of caps it all off. Let's get it. Beer Money Time brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia.
I have an ad read for them now, too.
Light lager. What?
Kenwood. I have an ad read for Kenwood now.
Do we? We finally have an ad read?
Full-blown ad read.
Oh, my goodness. This is a big day for the ad read. Let's hear it.
Kenwood Beer. It's a refreshing light beer, 4.1% ABV, 127 calories, only 10 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny tracker. See who has Kenwood on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can buy Kenwood at your local Philadelphia area liquor store, or if you're in Eastern Pennsylvania, you can get it at your local Whole Foods, Steve. Whole Foods stocking the Kennies. It's light body, light calories, plenty of flavor, the best light beer on the planet. You must be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. They were also part of our live tailgate podcast event. Everybody was enjoying the Kennies. They were flowing. And big thank you to Kenwood Beer. They are fully in our corner and enjoy our content, so very thankful to have them as our official beer partner.
Can you please, is it legal for you to ship me Kenwood Beer? Like cross state lines?
It might be legal for me to ship it via vehicle of me driving.
Well, the next time you are here for a game, please just come by the apartment. You come here all the time, and you never tell me that you are, and it really gets me upset.
Well, next time I'll have a pack of Kennies for you.
All right, great. I appreciate it. Top 20 pick for our Beer Money plays. Who are we taking?
Top 20. Let's see here as I look at my handy-dandy checker here.
Notebook. No.
Top 20. Good reference. I'm looking here because I want to make the top 20 a little interesting. You know, you want to live on the edge a little bit.
Living on the edge.
I am going to take I'm going to ride with your guy. You've been riding him pretty hard in your beer money picks lately.
Out of context, that sounds terrible. My goodness.
Clip it. I'm going to take, I feel like his nickname should be the Admiral just based off of his actual name. I'm going to go Tyrrell Hatton at plus 190.
That angry little leprechaun. I'm going to really focus
Admiral
on-
Hatton is just like, just so good.
Sounds like a Civil War guy. Like
Exactly.
American Revolution. I'm fighting for the British. We're in the Battle of York Hill.
Admiral Hatton.
Admiral Hatton versus what was his name? Charles de Gaulle. Admiral de Gaulle and Admiral Hatton. That sounds perfect. My top 20. I'm really liking the guys who did not play at the Masters. I like plus 600. Justin Suh plus 600.
Dude.
I've taken him plus 20 like 4 times, and it's hit every time. I love this pick. Plus 600 there. Top 10.
Top 10. I am going to say that my top 10 pick is going to go to future hopeful friend of the pod, one of our guys, at plus 290, Tony Finau.
I am. Where is he on this board here? I want to take plus 320. I'll take Shane Lowry this week. He played really well at Augusta for the first 3 days, but it kind of just fell off early. He finished third here last year. In previous weeks, though, I mean, he's been on fire. Typically, when he plays here, he finishes really well after a bad finish at Augusta. This is a bit different considering he finished 16th this past week, but I do think there's a good chance here, plus 320, that he can come back for the top 10 this week. Top 5, what you got?
Top 5, I'm going to go at plus 500 at multiple sports books. Cam Young.
I dig it. Plus 550. I'm digging it. Matt Fitzpatrick is a player who he missed 4 of 8 cuts early on in the year. He had this bulging disc in his neck. He went 2-1 in the match play and finally showed that there was some sort of a definitive I'm back kind of thing. He finished T10 at Augusta. He gained 4 strokes on approach. This is again a pinpoint golf course. I think he fits the field perfectly. I like him a lot for that top 5 play. Matt Fitzpatrick at plus 550. Your gimme pick this week.
My gimme pick. Let's see. I am going to rock out with
Rock out or talk out.
You already know it, brother. Tom Kim makes the cut. Or I'm sorry, not makes the cut. Tom Kim, top Asian finisher at plus 270.
I have 3 guys here who I'm surprised they're actually plus money. Played well, all 3 of them at Augusta, and I'm going to entrust them all to finish top 40 this week. I like Justin Rose at plus 110, Fleetwood at plus 110, and Sahith Theegala at plus 100. All 3 of those to finish in the top 40. I'll figure out what parlay odds are in a hot second if I can even get those. But for now, those are my 3 plays that I think you should be eyeing for your gimmies. Your winning pick this week at Harbor Town.
So I'm gonna roll with. I've a pick and an alternate pick here for the people.
Okay.
Just to split the difference here. I'm gonna go with Scotty Scheffler because you're giving me plus 850 odds for Scotty to win.
Not great, honestly, though.
It's not great, but it's still going to win you some money. But I also really like, in terms of the narrowing the field as the top American finisher, if you want to have some fun, Colin Morikawa at plus 1,400.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkle a little cheese there. Jordan Spieth is also plus 1,400 to finish as the top American. And, if you don't think some guys are going to win, maybe you think Jon Rahm's going to win, you want to take the top American to eliminate Jon Rahm from your field, I think that's something to play with as well.
I have a really I guess like out there pick that I think is a really fascinating one here. I'm digging deep on this board, but it makes sense. So I'm going to do it. He is plus 80 to 1 to win this event. I had mentioned that a lot of people who win this event, with the exception of Jordan Spieth last year, kind of come out of nowhere and happen to win the event. I think the nice thing, though, about an elevated event is that you do have top players in the world on the board, and you get really good odds for all of them. In an area where Tom Hoagie sits, where Taylor Montgomery sits, where Tommy Fleetwood is, Chris Kirk, winner on tour this year, Cam Davis, Keith Mitchell. One name stands out as somebody who hits the ball really far, puts the ball really well, and he plays great on the East Coast north of Georgia. He plays really well in Connecticut. Went to college in New York. One of the very few Northeastern golfers playing in Northeast conditions this week in the Carolinas. I like Keegan Bradley at 80 to 1 to win this event. And if he does, that's a big payday at the window. Again, like Satoshi Kodaira won this event, right? He was a no-name player at the time. Wesley Bryan's won here. Good putter, long hitter, precision hitter. Keegan Bradley is my guy this week. Final thoughts before we hit the road.
Final thoughts. I just want to thank everybody that came out to our live tailgate podcast on Saturday before the Phils game. It was a wild success. Big thank you to all of the partners that got on board: PHI Apparel Company, Kenwood Beer, Wasted Wedge, and Audio Technica. Big thank you to all of them for supporting us. This is just the beginning. We're scratching the surface with live events. You know, now that the world is kind of getting back to normal, full blown. We started live events again last year, which yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the Green Jacket Watch Party, Steve.
That was great.
You know, I'm hoping we can do some more. We're planning some stuff with the Outside the Box podcast in Columbus, Ohio in June. So hoping for a potential live event there, and hoping for more tailgate podcasts. It was a total blast. We had so much fun, and you know, the only way we can go is up with these things and get in the hole. You know, there's potential beyond belief with live events, and we're working on it across the board with all of our pods. So live Underground Sports Philadelphia events are certainly in the future, and this weekend helped, you know, kind of prove that we can pull it off.
My final thought here, and I want to give a little shout out to one of my favorite people, favorite groups of people, Quinnipiac Bobcats. I want to leave you with this. Not the play, but the celebration to win the Natty. Wait for it. Oh my goodness. The skeet shooting to win the national championship against Minnesota. They took home the dub 3-2 in OT. Crowd goes wild. Absolutely insane moment. Shout out to the boys. First ever title in any sport ever. Rand Pecknold was the head coach of this hockey program at 27 years old. He won his first title 29 years later. They used to play hockey at midnight because they couldn't afford the ice time, and it was the only time available that they could play. 29 years later, winningest active coach in the NCAA, moved them from D3 to D2 to D1, and now a national champion for the first time in his career. I love this guy. He is incredible. He's nice. In the post-game presser, he was literally so distraught with emotion, he asked the guy on ESPN doing the interview, "Can I have a hug?" Like literally could not handle himself. Shout out to Rand. Shout out to Quinnipiac. An absolute baller moment. And today, on a Tuesday, they had a darty. They invited Rand. He didn't know what a darty was. He said that on the Chicklets podcast over on Barstool. A 900-person darty today.
Wow. I also have one other final thought, too.
The cops were patrolling. Apparently, they coordinated with the hockey team. They said, "We'll let you guys have your fun." And they literally had a patrol outside helping people get home because they were like, "This won't happen often." So let's go, boys.
we talk about the future of golf and everything and how younger generation is into everything. There's obviously the video game aspect of golf. The Foreplay boys just got playable characters in 2K.
Mm-hmm.
How many years until Get in the Hole has Steve and Jake as playable characters in 2K?
Maybe a while, but I would love that. That'd be awesome.
I think it's so cool. You know, say what you want about Barstool, whatever it may be. The Foreplay guys grind, and you know, for them to be playable characters in a video game for the thing that they cover religiously is pretty fucking cool.
I had a lot of friends who went and played college baseball, played football. I went to a guy who I went to high school with, who was a senior when I was a freshman, drafted into the NFL. He obviously plays in the NFL currently for, I forget which team it is, for the Bills. He's obviously a playable character in Madden. I think it's sick. I talked to him when I was a senior in high school. He had been playing for the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. He was like, coolest thing ever is like seeing yourself on a video game, even though he was like a 68 overall, like pretty damn cool. So seeing myself in a video game would be pretty sick. But for now, I'll stick with the face scan stuff they have for 2K and for
Ronnie 2K. Hit us up.
Honestly, bro, let me know. That's going to do it all for us here on the Get in the Hole podcast. KB sitting in for Jake this week. He's out on trial, so good luck, Jake. Hopefully, don't waste away. Don't waste away your opportunity as a defense attorney. For Stephen McAvoy, that's Kyle Bennett. Thank you for joining us this week. Enjoy the RBC Heritage. We'll see you back here next week for the Zurich Classic team style event. We're talking about who's going to have what walkout songs. All I know is that Sam Burns and Billy Horschel are going to be so devastated. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time, and remember, get in the hole!